STAR tests are one way we measure academic success, and there are a number of key areas. We're going to hear some directly of special results here in Pasadena at Washington Accelerated Elementary from Jon Gundry and from Principal Meeks Clark. Their work in writing, their work in science. I'm a science teacher, so it's fun to come to a program like this and see the parents, see the students, talk to the teachers, see the video. So we're going to look at the English scores, the math scores on these academic tests, and then your leaders here will talk a little bit more about the successes at this school and the bright future that you have because of the work you're doing. I just want to recognize at this time one of the stars in this video. Did you like that video? Action, right? Good action. I want Mrs. West to stand up. Where's Mrs. West? The science star, the science teacher. So what's happened in the last decade? This is the 9th year of the STAR testing. Our state has gone from having only 1 student in 3 proficient to now having 1 in 2 proficient. That's nearly 900,000 more students that we've brought forward to proficiency to the target we had set as a place to go. Now we want to go beyond, we want super proficiency. We want those students to go even farther, and we want more students who aren't yet there to join the ones that have reached proficiency. But isn't that a remarkable progress over these 10 years, 900,000 additional students? The first chart, and I'll point to the chart here, you can see on English language arts where we started with 1 in 3, only 35% back in 2003 were proficient in English language arts. Now we have 22 percentage points more. We have 57. So from 1 in 3 to over 1 in 2 of our students are proficient. In mathematics, again, about 1/3 were proficient a decade ago. Today, over half. So the progress is incremental. I say to us, if we had the resources that your good superintendent and your good principal, your good teachers know would help, we could be so much better than this. But this is remarkable considering the severe budget cuts of the last few years and some of the chaos that these budget cuts have created. Now this other chart over here, we call it the rainbow chart. What do we find at the end of rainbow? A pot of gold. And the gold here is students that are excelling and students that are moving in the right direction across all groups. It's not just about the ones that are proficient, but the ones that were below. Look at here, the ones that were below basic. That was about 38%. Now look, that's down. That band is shrunk. So we're now seeing many more students moving up to basic and proficient, and less here below. So that's a testimony to the focus. Come back to the mic. That's a testimony to the focus of your school leaders and principals and superintendents, your teachers, the parents helping out, the team helping out, and lifting all students. And sort of, you know, in life there's a bell curve. There's, you know, always a group sort of in the middle that's a big bulge in the bell curve. Well, I call it the mountain. We're moving the mountain in the right direction. We're moving the whole mountain to higher heights. So this is good news. And again, I say it's a team effort. I was a high school science teacher, but also a coach. And so I go by the team theme. You know what that is? Equipo fuerte. It's the team theme, together, everyone accomplishes more. TEAM. And you together have done that. So I am so proud of the progress. I'm going to now ask some of our leaders here locally to come forward and share the good news right here in Pasadena, right here at Washington Accelerated. So for this, I would first ask Jon Gundry to come forward, an outstanding superintendent and leader of the schools here in Pasadena, to share some more of his focus, which took the district to looking at STEM too, jobs of the future, the NASA-type jobs of the future, the jobs of the new economy that your youngsters, our youngsters, will be better prepared for because of Jon Gundry's policies. Jon, superintendent.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Torlakson. I appreciate your coming here. I think most of you don't know that the very first time I stepped foot in PUSD was here at this press conference in 2008. I was here representing the County Office of Education, so it was the first time I came here, and I'm really happy to be back for a similar purpose. Before I start, I'd like to introduce some people in the audience. We have a couple of board members here, Dr. Elizabeth Pomeroy, a PUSD board member. Mr. Ed Honowitz, our Vice President, Board Vice President. We also have Alvin Nash, our UTP President, is with us here representing teachers. Juliana Hines is here representing Assemblyman Portantino. And Joyce Aguilera is here representing Senator Liu in the back. What? Oh, and our board president, Renata Cooper, just walked in. Yes. And of course, we're very pleased that our mayor, Bill Bogard, is here with us today. Thank you, Mayor. And I would like to take the privilege of introducing my Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Brian McDonald, is here with us today. And our former Chief Academic Officer, Alice Petrosian, is also here. I'd like to say that, one of the reasons we're here, the main reason we're here at Washington Accelerate today is to celebrate the successes of this school. This is a school that has presented many challenges to the district. They're dealing with a lot of kids who are at risk and coming from life of poverty, and yet we saw our greatest academic gains in the district here at this school this year. So we're very proud of what's been done at Washington Accelerated under the leadership of Caron Meeks and the terrific teachers that we have at the school. As Superintendent Torlakson mentioned, we are focusing on STEM, which is science, technology, math, and engineering in this district, and the real heart of that initiative is right here at the Washington complex. Up the hill at the middle school, we're planning a STEM academy. We're in the planning stages right now, working with our community partners and higher ed partners here in Pasadena to develop a really high-quality STEM program centered around Washington Middle School, but that's really going to affect the entire district. We're looking at science and math education in all of our elementary schools to make sure that we're doing a good job of giving our kids that support from the beginning. That one of the real shining examples of that is right here in this room, where we have the outstanding teacher you saw in the Go Public video. And she really is that good. I've been in her classroom, and she is going to be pivotal in helping us to bring high-quality science education to all of our elementary students in Pasadena, so that when our kids get to high school, they're going to be far better prepared to be successful in academically, and also to be better prepared in careers as they move beyond high school and into higher ed or whatever they do after high school. So we believe it starts right here. The base happens right here at the elementary level. This school is doing a great job of preparing kids in STEM and also in English language, arts, math, and everything. This school has really seen some impressive gains, and we trust that they're going to continue with the strong efforts of our leadership and also our teachers on this campus. So we're excited about that. We're also excited that this district is taking some very specific and dramatic steps towards revising curriculum to address the Common Core that's coming in a couple of years, because kids are going to be assessed differently. They're going to be expected to perform at much higher levels. And we're responding to that now a couple of years in advance by rewriting our curriculum to make sure that what we're doing in the classroom matches the expectations that the state is going to have for our children when the Common Core standards come into play. So you'll be hearing more about that. We're beginning a pilot program for the secondary curriculum this year to address STEM, and next year we'll be implementing district-wide. So we're moving forward in spite of diminishing resources. I think that we're kind of approaching a point of crisis in terms of funding for public education in California, and so we're hoping for a positive result at the ballot box this year, because without additional funding, if we continue to experience the severe funding cuts that we believe are coming from Sacramento, it's going to be very hard to maintain, much less move forward. It's going to be hard to maintain the initiatives that we have in this district, and many districts across the state are going to experience some severe pain if we have the kinds of cuts to education that are on the books right now that are coming in November. So. I would like to highlight a couple of things in our test scores. I think what we're most proud of, in addition to Washington Middle School, is our writing scores are very impressive. And we also have seen, our gains in this district have more or less mirrored the gains statewide. We've seen some incremental gains in student achievement over the last 5 years. They've been small but consistent. One place where we've seen some larger gains is in the area of writing. We have very impressive writing results in the district this year that we're quite proud of. And we also are seeing far fewer students falling in the below basic and below the below basic and the far below basic categories. We've seen quite a bit of shrinking of those categories as kids are moving up the scale. And so that's really what we want, is to move those kids higher towards proficiency. And just in case you didn't know, the proficiency standards in the state of California are among the highest in the nation. And so getting kids to a level of proficiency in California means a great deal, because in some states they would be proficient at a much lower level than that. And so we have quite a challenge with diminishing resources. I think statewide and here in Pasadena we have done pretty well under the circumstances, but it gets more and more difficult to continue moving our schools forward with diminished resources. So we hope that you will support any efforts to increase funding for schools in the state of California. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate so many people being present, so many parents being present here this morning. Thank you very much, and thank you, Superintendent Torlakson.
Thank you, Superintendent, for those good news information bulletins, and the progress is evident here. And thank you for the school board's leadership, elected by the people to guide this district forward. And I'll just underscore one thing he said. John mentioned the fiscal challenges. You know that our schools have lost 25% of their funding in the last 5 years. The support from the state went down. The recession caused a good part of that. But we have a chance to restore funds back to the budget for schools. The governor has a plan, Proposition 30, that I support, that would bring in billions and billions of dollars we need. And another measure by the PTA I'm supporting also would bring in billions and billions of dollars. So I'm urging yes, CC, we go for both. And only one would go into effect, the one with most votes. But the billions and billions of dollars there are needed, or cuts will be coming that are very draconian, very severe, that John was foretelling. Now, I'm so pleased my friend Mayor Bob Bogard is here. Did you want to say anything? I know you're proud. You were telling me how proud you are. Just stand up and be recognized again. The mayor, it takes... Great day for Pasadena. It takes a village, it takes a city, it takes teamwork, again, and appreciate you being here. We're now pleased to introduce one of those valiant, hardworking, great teachers of California, teacher leaders of California that are contributing to the success of our students. So I'd like Alvin Nash to come up, President of the United Teachers of Pasadena.
Good morning, everyone, parents, community members, State Superintendent Torlakson, Superintendent Gundry, Board President Renata Cooper, Mayor Bogard, board members, all distinguished guests. I'm Alvin Nash, as he mentioned, President of the United Teachers of Pasadena. I represent the teachers, librarians, counselors, nurses, and speech therapists who serve our children here in the Pasadena Unified School District. The challenge facing every educator is ensuring that each student reaches her or his fullest potential. Often we cannot clearly see what that potential is, but it is still our responsibility to coach, guide, encourage, and support a student to achieve at the highest possible level. Effective teachers find ways to connect school to their students' lives every day. We contextualize or connect to students' everyday experiences and integrate classroom learning with out-of-school experiences and knowledge of life inside the community. Effective educators find ways to connect school to students' lives and recognize that intelligence can be changed by learning experiences. We acknowledge that students come with unrecognizable abilities and underdeveloped potential. We integrate multiple abilities and higher order thinking skills and foster autonomy. Effective teachers understand that they must find ways to support their students to build both academic as well as personal resilience. We promote problem solving, social competence, identity development, and a sense of control, purpose, and future. We hold high expectations of our students. We develop and maintain caring relationships with students, and we utilize methods that increase student interaction and participation. Effective educators understand the importance of building on students' interests, experiences, and knowledge to motivate and engage them in their learning. We recognize the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. We allow the expression of student interests and use the interest to guide instruction. We provide constructive and regular feedback, using errors as opportunities for learning in ways that honor and respect students' developmental levels. Partnerships that increase engagement of parents and the community in the public schools are essential to student achievement. When schools, families, and community groups work together to support learning, children tend to do better in school, stay in school longer, and like school more. Every school is unique in how it is affected by diverse factors such as socioeconomic level of students, the experience level of the staff, the condition of the physical facilities, levels of funding from local, state, and national programs, the diversity of languages and ethnicities in the school community, and other characteristics. Even while district, state, and national policies drive many of the systems of our schools, each school shapes itself to meet the needs of the population it serves. Every school needs a unique method of organizing the work of educating its own students. Teachers must continue to work closely with parents to help students learn to improve education and to improve education. Schools must operate under the assumption that all students can learn. Teachers and staff must continue to collaborate to remove barriers to student learning, and instruction must include interventions for students who are not succeeding. With parents and community support, educators will continue to coach, guide, encourage, and support all of our students to achieve at the highest possible level. We are anticipating a successful school year in 2012-13 while helping a diverse array of students meet high standards. We believe all students have the capacity to achieve at high levels. And I thank you all for your support for coming today. Thank you.
Thank you again for emphasizing several times. He emphasized our goal, our dream, our work to make sure that every single child reaches their fullest potential and the dreams of their parents and their own dreams. And so as we come back to school, most after Labor Day coming up next week, but across the state of California, parents are dropping their students off or walking to school with them with high hopes and aspirations, high expectations of the great schools of California to help their students reach those dreams. So thank you for that. And I want to recognize one other person, just again to have her stand up. Coming from this district, Alice Petrosian was the leader statewide of the superintendents of all, the administrators of all of California. She just finished her presidency, so just stand up, please. Alice Petrosian. Homegrown leader right here, and thank you for your service. And now, a good friend of mine and a good friend of students, parents, teachers around the state, the leader today of the Association of Superintendents and Administrators of California, David Gomez, who is an experienced educator, has dedicated his life to having children and their parents reach those dreams. So thank you for coming to this, representing statewide the administrators of California. Please, if you would come up.
What a great superintendent. On behalf of the Association of California School Administrators, we want to congratulate all of our students, our teachers, for the wonderful work they're doing to increase our student learning. And I especially want to assure you and reemphasize the importance of increasing student achievement, and that is quality teaching, good teachers, leadership, school administrators, school boards, and of course the community. It's so important to get the community involved in supporting our schools. Once again, I also want to congratulate Tom Torlakson for what he does to support public education and his true love for diversity. You kind of saw a little bit about it this morning, speaking Spanish. You know, it's just wonderful to hear him really do a great job to reach all of our students and our parents. Thank you again.
Thank you. We have one more speaker to share, and thank you, David, for that perspective statewide. And aren't these gains fabulous? I mean, 10 years ago, I don't think people could have predicted that we'd have this much progress. And again, if we had more resources, think of where we'd go. But David, thank you for your leadership statewide. And now another David is with us, David Rattray, who represents business of California, business of the Los Angeles area, particularly with the Chamber of Commerce. The Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce of the City of Los Angeles is here. David, come on up. David Rattray. I'd like you to share a perspective. He's been instrumental in our blueprint for great schools and getting the business community linked into our schools.
Good morning. Nice to be here. First of all, congratulations, Superintendent, and my congratulations to teachers throughout the state, to educators, to principals, to students, to their parents, to the community members. Without your leadership, Superintendent, we would not have navigated this incredibly, historically difficult budget year. So thank you, Superintendent, for your amazing leadership in these incredible times. And I just want to say again something about teachers. There's so much talk in the press about the profession of teaching, and so much of it I think we in the business community and others know does not honor the heroic efforts that teachers do every single day with these young people. So I just want to say, first and foremost, again, congratulations and thank you to the teachers of California. Now, I would also just want to represent that as a member of the business community, we know that the pathway to success for California youth is the same pathway to success for California's businesses, and that is youth that are well educated and well served by us. And so we get that we are joined at the hip and that this is the only way to success for our businesses and for our students and for our economy and quality of life. And this progress is not to be thought of lightly. It looks kind of really gradual here, so people might think, well, okay, what's happening here? But some states have dip years. And with the kind of challenges we had, a small dip might have been quite an accomplishment. So I think it just bears saying that we should not take for granted these stairs. I mean, I would look at them as stairways to heaven. If we can continue that kind of progress, every single child is touched in some way because we're moving all the boats up. So I just want to underscore that these changes are so dramatic and profound and not to be taken for granted. So I want to agree with the superintendent. We are going to have to think hard about this next year to ensure that we invest in public education in California. And we cannot take that chart for granted, because we could be standing here a year from now or any time in the future and see a very different picture. And we owe it to our students and we owe it to ourselves to make sure that doesn't happen. And that is tied to resources. So I hope we all join the call of the superintendent and work hard to build support for public education in California. So thank you, Tom. It's been an honor to serve with you, and I look forward to our success next year.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David. We're going to take questions in just a moment. I want to, again, thank the relationship between businesses, the idea of connecting our schools' education to the future of our children as individuals who will find their place in our economy and find their place in our society well-equipped through their great public education. It's a very important link to make, and thank you, David, for continuing to make that. So again, I just want to say thanks to everybody. It's a team effort, and so I'll say I understand that 84% of the student population here is Latino Californian, so this is great, but I'll say debemos trabajar unidos para nuestros estudiantes, nuestros niños, right? Para un futuro más brillante, ¿sí? So we must work together, united, for the bright future of our students. And felicitaciones, congratulations for the teamwork here in Pasadena, here at Washington Accelerated. Now, we're very happy to take questions from the press who is here, particularly, from any of the speakers. We'll put them on the spot, too.
Superintendent?
Yes, sir.
You touched on it briefly, but again, go over the worst-case scenario that you envision if these measures don't pass and you have to cut more funding from public education.
There's been a devastating series of cuts for 5 years. 25% of what schools used to get in funding has disappeared. 10% more is on deck to happen if neither ballot measure passes. So that is a cut of $5.5 billion additional. The state of California already owes the schools, the public schools, over $20 billion. The state has a debt back to the schools. To cut further makes no sense. And what will schools do? Many schools are going to take advantage of flexibility, but it'll be detrimental, but they may not have no choice, the flexibility to cut 15 days out of the school year. We already have one of the shortest school years in the modern global economy at 180 days. To cut it down to 165 days makes no sense. That would be 2 years in a row, 30 days. It's the equivalent of 1 million years of student learning lost. So it is high stakes. The cuts are set to take place if neither ballot measure passes. And higher education gets hurt too. Higher education will lose another 5 to 10% of its funding, a hit of $250 million in each the UC and the CSUs, which, when you look at it, that's going to do what? Drive up tuition again, more than likely, and have it take longer for students to finish college, which is a cost to all of us, to our parents particularly.
And as a result, you would see the gains that you've made over the last number of years go the other direction.
Well, I'm hoping not, and you know what's amazing is teachers keep working their hearts out, administrators keep leading and working with the team at each school. So I'm not going to predict a dip, but it's high risk. It's high risk to gamble with this future, with the future of our kids. And the momentum is incremental, as said, but it's phenomenal over 10 years. But we can't sustain, as John knows, I mean, you're looking at, I don't know how many millions it might be for your district. Do you have a rough idea what it could? Thank you.
I'm going to be estimating the figures, but we know that even if the governor's initiative passes, we'll have to make $7 million in cuts in PUSD, which is a significant amount of money for us, particularly considering how much we've already cut and how we've already cut back so much on staffing. We can't lay off enough people to make up the difference if we have the, even for that $7 million, but with the failure of the initiative, it will be between $16 and $20 million. And, you know, in the context of a budget that's about, I think about 170 million, somewhere in that area, that's a very significant decrease in funding.
Anybody else? Dave, did you want to comment, or any other speakers?
Superintendent?
Yes.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what the state is doing to prepare for Common Core and make sure that that ladder was continuing on upward climb.
Well, we're working in partnership, again, a team effort underway. Common Core was mentioned by your superintendent. It is the new standards that California has adopted, which are deeper, more meaningful, and prepare young people more for the 21st century. They'll be doing more critical thinking, more problem solving, less memorizing, less filling in bubbles on a test kind of multiple choice approach. It's more critical thinking. But it's going to take training, and districts are moving forward. John may want to comment what's happening here in Pasadena, but I'm seeing districts around the state going forward and training their teachers for the implementation of these standards. There'll be tests or assessments of these standards in 2015, spring 2015. My state department has organized a very focused effort. We're working with the State Board of Education. We actually went out and got some grants to hire additional staff. And my staff is working. We're putting up best practices of professional development modules, the leadership component for principals, how to bring the Common Core to their teachers, how to train the teachers in each subject matter, each grade level, for the kinds of questions, the kind of thinking that the students will need and to be ready for the testing. So we are making a concerted effort, and our website, the CDE, California Department of Education website, is a place where you can go to see more details. But we take this very seriously, and it's good. It's a good fact. It's going to prepare young people to compete in the global economy, to be employable, to have skills that employers will look at and say, these students can think and they can solve problems, they can ask good questions, and they can find good answers. Yes?
Superintendent, you said you are in support of Proposition 30, and I would like to know how do you know that, opposers to the Proposition 30 said the money is not going, it's not guaranteed that it's going to schools. How are you sure that the funds or the revenue is going to schools?
Well, I have faith in the governor and the legislature to keep their word, and they will. I believe there's no doubt about it. They have pledged where the money would go in the first years, and so I will be there, also making sure it gets enforced that way, implemented that way. The school board members here, elected school board members around the state, superintendents around the state, will be watching very carefully. But what has occurred is a budget's been constructed with trigger cuts, as you know. And so the trigger cuts are immediately stopped. There are no trigger cuts if the money becomes available under Prop 30. My opinion is also that if the money becomes available, should Prop 38 win, the PTA measure, that there will be the money to implement the same goals, to protect K-12, to protect higher education. Okay. Anybody else want to comment? John, did you want to comment either on Common Core or, yes, and then you'll be next, Kelly.
Addressing the Common Core is a huge, huge challenge for every district in the state. It's also very costly because it requires retraining of all of our teachers. And again, this is something that requires significant resources and time. And if we're talking about cutting school days and cutting professional development days, even if we have good professional development to deliver, there's a question about when we can do it. How will we deliver professional development if we don't have the resources or the time to do so? So that's something that I worry about. We are training some teachers right now in how to address Common Core. The curriculum rewrite project has been very successful. We've had teachers from every school in the district engaged in rewriting the curriculum to address Common Core issues and to write the Common Core standards into our curriculum, and we're also working hard to change the way we look at delivery of instruction in our classrooms, to have more project-based, design-based learning going on in our schools so that kids are getting real-world experiences and hands-on experiences in learning rather than just memorizing things from books. And so because we believe that kids will conceptualize things better if they are able to do the kinds of things you saw in the video. If you watch closely, right here in this room, they're already engaged in that 21st century teaching and learning, and we want to see that in every classroom in the district.
Great, thank you. I also want to introduce you to Deb Sigmund, who's Deputy Superintendent for the Department of Education for California, and she's in charge of that program. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you. Kelly.
Yes, so there were about 12 schools across the state that were flagged for security breaches with regards to the scores.
Yes.
So I was wondering when those investigations were wrapped up and if there would be particular punishment for the students involved.
A variety of things are happening in different districts around the state. They're handling the discipline side of it in various ways. I'm going to ask Deb Sigmund to come up and just explain a little bit what happened. I'm very big on technology in our schools. We need connection to the internet. We also can find that the technology can provide some interesting challenges, like a very serious breach of the security of the test by some students taking pictures with their cell phones, Blackberries, of the test questions. But we investigated it thoroughly. We took extra time before we released this data to make sure that there was no contamination of the integrity of the test. Deborah? Deb Sigmund.
Thanks, Superintendent. And I apologize, but I could not hear your question. So if you could repeat it for me, that would be great.
I was wondering when the investigation was wrapped up, if they haven't already.
Okay, great.
What happened to the students?
A great question. So There are a number of investigations still ongoing at particular schools, and so people are taking this extraordinarily seriously, not only the superintendent, but I think every principal at where there might have been an image exposed. And so we have great faith in the schools that they're conducting these investigations, so I suspect by the end of September, those will be wrapped up. The state of California believes that schools are the best places to determine what kind of, if there's any discipline action to occur for a student, that would happen at that place. And so we know that that has occurred in some instances, but again, we leave that up to the professionals at the schools. So.
Anything else?
Well, what sorts of practices are we attributing the gains here at Washington and similar gains at other schools?
I'll speak to the broad view, and David, feel free to add if you wish. The broad view is, I believe, that superintendents, principals, department heads, teachers have focused on these goals and focused in a way that they're helping students who needed help, but they're able now to do some diagnostic work, to identify the students who have some of the greatest needs, to give them the support they need. If they're English learners, they may need some more support to understand what the questions are, what the test material is going to be like. And I just think it's a focus and a passion to have the students succeed, and to say the law sets out a target of what we should accomplish. Let's be serious and aim at the target and get to the target. And I think it's that kind of valiant work that, despite distractions of cuts and layoffs and changes around, teachers have been able to maintain their focus, and administrators, on these gains. Would you want to comment any further, David?
Well, actually, I think it would be a good idea for Caron to come up for a few minutes just to talk about it. While she's coming up, the process you use, like professional learning communities, to look at the student data and analyze it, and then really zero in on what's working, what isn't working. I think Caron could say more about that.
Yeah, very good.
Actually, the superintendent spoke on it. Washington knew that we had a group of students. We have a group of students here who come with not a lot of background knowledge. And so if Common Core, what Common Core actually does, it helps teachers understand that you need to build background knowledge for students. They have to have a connection in learning. And if there's something to build on, you can give the word. You talked in the tape, you talked about different types of rocks. But a rock in a book is different from a rock that you're experimenting with. A rock that you become a rock, or you become a layer of the atmosphere, is different from reading about it. Then you're acting at that particular point. So we actually went through and made sure that when we look at project-based learning, design-based learning, that students really get the foundation. They understand the why behind it. And that's been our focus, that instead of just going through the content, the students understand the why behind it, and we integrate the curriculum. So it's not just I'm learning science, but I'm learning some math, I'm learning some English language arts, and educating the teachers so they know that these are the standards that the students are learning. And that's made a great success for us. So that's
great. Thank you. If there are additional questions, we'll be standing by for some of that. And once again, thank everybody. Somos un equipo fuerte, right? We're a team, a strong team together, and we will get there for our students. Thank you very much, everybody, to participate and keep our focus. Thank you.